the animal most people would erase from Earth tomorrow, has already survived disasters that wiped out giants. That sounds like an urban legend, but it hides a much more interesting truth. Cockroaches have been crawling across our planet for hundreds of millions of years, adapting through changing climates, shifting continents, and countless predators. They are not invincible, and many popular myths about them are simply wrong. So why does this small insect keep winning a survival game that has defeated so many larger creatures? By the end of this story, you may still not want one in your kitchen, but you will probably respect it far more than before. First, let us clear up the biggest myth. Cockroaches are often described as creatures that could survive a nuclear explosion. That is an exaggeration. A direct blast, extreme heat, or collapsing buildings would kill them, like almost any other animal. What scientists actually found is that some cockroach species tolerate higher levels of radiation than humans because their cells divide less frequently. That is very different from being immortal. Even without superhero powers, cockroaches are extraordinary. There are more than 4,000 known species around the world, yet only a few dozen are considered pests around human homes. The vast majority spend their lives quietly, in forests, caves, deserts, or tropical ecosystems, without bothering anyone. In other words, humans judge an entire family by the behavior of a tiny fraction. Now think about their body design. A cockroach looks simple, but simplicity can be a survival advantage. Its flat body allows it to squeeze into incredibly narrow spaces. Its hard outer shell offers protection, while remaining flexible enough for movement. If danger appears, powerful legs launch it forward with surprising speed. Some species can run around 50 body lengths every second. If a human matched that performance, they would move faster than a racing car. That speed is only part of the story. Cockroaches also have an impressive sensory system. Long antennae constantly sample their surroundings, detecting touch, airflow, and chemical signals. Tiny hairs on their legs can sense subtle changes in moving air. When a predator, or even a rolled-up newspaper, creates a sudden gust, their nervous system reacts almost instantly. The escape begins before you even finish the swing. It feels personal, but biology is simply faster than human reflexes. Their eating habits explain another reason for their success. Cockroaches are not picky diners. They consume plant material, decaying organic matter, fungi, animal remains, paper, glue, and sometimes even soap. This flexible menu means they rarely depend on a single food source. When conditions change, they simply change the menu. Nature rewards flexibility far more often than perfection. Water matters too. Many cockroach species can survive for surprisingly long periods with very little food, but they usually need access to moisture. That is why kitchens, bathrooms, basements, and leaking pipes become attractive places. Eliminating food scraps helps, but fixing water leaks is often just as important when preventing infestations. Sometimes the real invitation is not the crumbs. It is the dripping faucet nobody notices. Here comes another surprise. Cockroaches are cleaner than many people assume. They regularly groom themselves by cleaning their antennae, legs, and mouth parts. Of course, they can still spread bacteria when living around garbage or sewage, making pest control important in homes and restaurants. But the insect itself is not naturally dirty. Its environment determines much of that reputation. Scientists have also learned valuable lessons from cockroaches. Engineers study how they squeeze through tight gaps without damaging their bodies. That research has inspired ideas for flexible search and rescue robots, capable of crawling through collapsed buildings, where humans cannot safely enter. Imagine a tiny robot locating trapped survivors after an earthquake, because researchers once watched a cockroach disappear beneath a crack. Sometimes innovation begins with an animal people refuse to look at. Cockroaches even play useful roles in nature. Wild species help break down dead plants and organic material, returning nutrients to the soil. They become food for birds, reptiles, amphibians, spiders, and small mammals. Remove them completely, and parts of the food web would change in ways that scientists are still studying. The insects we dislike inside our homes belong to a much larger ecological picture outside them. Their reproduction also deserves attention. Many species produce protective egg cases that shield developing young. Once hatched, the young insects resemble miniature adults and gradually molt as they grow. Every new stage brings another opportunity to survive. It is an efficient system, refined through millions of years of evolution, rather than sudden magical adaptation. Of course, none of this means you should welcome cockroaches into your house. Household pest species can contaminate food, trigger allergies in some people, and become difficult to eliminate once established. Good sanitation, sealed food containers, reducing moisture, and closing entry points remain the best long-term defenses. The goal is understanding, not admiration without limits. There is something quietly humbling about the cockroach. Humans build skyscrapers, launch satellites, and create artificial intelligence, yet we still lose the occasional battle against an insect hiding behind the refrigerator. It is a funny reminder that evolution solves problems differently from technology. We chase complexity. Nature often wins with efficiency. Perhaps that is the biggest lesson. Survival does not always belong to the strongest, the biggest, or the smartest by human standards. It often belongs to the organism that adapts, wastes little energy, and takes every opportunity the environment offers. Cockroaches have been practicing that strategy for an unimaginably long time. So the next time one darts across the floor, you are not looking at a tiny monster from a horror movie. You are looking at one of evolution's longest-running success stories. You can still reach for the broom if it is in your kitchen. Just remember that behind the panic, the myths, and the jokes stands a creature that has quietly mastered one of life's hardest challenges, staying alive when almost everything else changes.